What's up, YouTube? Bobbles and Ball Cars back with another video. Hope everybody had a good Sunday. Unfortunately, it's coming to a close and we all got to go back to work. That sucks. But anyway, tonight I got Scott Kelly as a guest for our little Sunday group thing. We wanted to do this last weekend. Unfortunately, everything that's going on in my situation, I wasn't able to do that. So I set him up for this weekend. Scott has helped me with the little bit of soccer cards I bought. He reached out to, do this to kind of help other people. He's admitted he's not like an expert on it, but from what I gather, he's a soccer fan. He knows names, he knows product, that sort of thing. And also, Scott, I will admit ahead of time, thank you for putting me on that Jadon Sancho's acetate. However, I was driving back from the card shop from hitting that Robert, and the auction ended because I didn't realize it was in the middle of the day, so I lost it. But you said it normally is about $50, and I think that one ended for like 65, so probably better off anyway. Anyway, Scott, go ahead, introduce yourself, and throw some knowledge at us, man. I'm going to basically sit back and soak it in, or try to anyway.
Sounds good. Yeah, I've kind of been, I would say, in the sports card game probably for the last 2.5 years. I was in it as a kid, but back then I was just happy to get cards from the police officer that they were handing out, so I didn't really know a whole lot. And then about 2000, I started, for whatever reason, I decided to put together a Skybox set, a Skybox football from Target. Unfortunately, it was not the set that had the Tom Brady rookie card, so I was kind of disappointed when I finally went back through it. And then 2007, 2008, I kind of got back into it, but again, I really didn't know what I was looking for. It's actually funny, when I go back through all my cards, I have a lot of cards put in top loaders that are worth about a penny, so I just was putting everything in the top loader. And then,
hey, the top loaders are worth money now, though.
Oh, I know. That's where I've been getting a lot of them now. Going through it, throwing out all those that don't mean anything. And then I really stumbled on it. I think kind of similar to your story is I came across either a Facebook or a YouTube video of somebody doing a case break, and I was like, what is this? I was always used to just buying hobby boxes, so that kind of piqued my interest. And then ever since then, it's just been learning and collecting more and more, and started getting into grading this year, which is how I stumbled upon your channel, and kind of got into the SGC thing before they took off and went crazy. And just finally, I've always been a soccer fan, probably since I played it in high school, played it in college, and been following it for the last 20 plus years. And couple months back, I finally decided to start looking in the soccer card market, and I got into it right as it was about to take off, and now it's just insane. It's too expensive for me to even participate in a lot of it anymore. But so I guess I would start in terms of soccer. The big thing to understand is it's completely different than any other professional sports we have here. For example, we have the NBA, NFL, that's one league. And in Europe, just alone, every country has a top league. So Spain, Italy, France, England, Netherlands, even Austria, Hungary, they all have a top league. And they also have a pyramid system in most countries. For example, England has the Premier League, which has Liverpool, Man U, Arsenal, Manchester City. But then they have the Championship League right below it, along with League One, League Two, and I think they have like an 11-tier system. What's interesting about the European leagues, and pretty much all the leagues across the world except for the US, is they have a promotion relegation system. So every year, the bottom 3 teams in the league drop down a level, and then the 3 teams from the league below get promoted to the top level. So you literally have teams that start in League Two or below, and over the course of 10 years work their way up to the Premier League. So it's I guess how I would compare it is if you look at, instead of minor league baseball having AAA, AA, single A, instead of all those teams being associated with a major league team, you would essentially, each of those teams would be individually owned, and all the players would be part of the individual teams, and you'd have the worst 3 teams in Major League Baseball go down to AAA, and the best 3 teams from AAA come up to the major leagues, which brings in more money and more financial gains.
So you're saying soccer is kind of like the 2020 MLB 60 game season, where a lot of these players we've never heard of, and the Marlins are like busting ass, and the Orioles are whooping teams you wouldn't expect, because their pro players aren't even on the team. They're using a lot of their minor league players.
Yeah.
Now, I felt like an idiot when I bought those Chronicles. I was like, oh, that's cool. 3 packs. Prism, I think it was 2018, had 3 packs in a cello pack. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they switched to 2 packs. So I when I bought them, I was like, I didn't even notice the logos on the packs. And you pointed out to me when I said something about it, because normally Chronicles has, like, in basketball, when you buy it, you get a massive mixture of product. And one thing I found cool was you could hit 2 of the same rookie in 1 pack or whatever. But what I found with the soccer, and it confused me, was it was like each pack was relegated to like 2 specific products, maybe 3. Mm-hmm. And then you pointed out, because I didn't notice it, that each pack represented a different league. So that's kind of what you're talking about with the different leagues, right?
Yeah, and to be honest, Chronicles is probably the worst product for anybody getting into the soccer market, because it was extremely confusing.
I found retail. I got happy. I heard it was hot. I was like, let's try it. And apparently I pulled the best
probably one
guy.
Of the top cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great product. I opened a couple retail that I found at Target, and retail was okay. I think hobby was, if you could get it at the original price that it came out at, $225, $250, it was well worth that price. I wouldn't pay the $400, $500 they're going for now. But in terms of just introducing a lot of people to the soccer card market, it was not a good, it's a tough one to follow, because of the different leagues, and each league had their own, like Premier League had Donruss, and then I think La Liga had the Panini, and then I think Serie A had Prestige, was their like base set, and then they had different.
Yeah, there's the Prestige. Well,
yeah.
And then like the Donruss and everything looks the same. Trying to find one of the. Yeah, this is the other one you're talking about.
Yeah, so I think that's just the regular Panini brand.
And then obviously for those, you have the Donruss.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and then obviously they have. I'm trying to find one. I think this. What is this? Illusions. Yeah, they have Illusions, inserts, Prism. Yeah.
So they originally, the Prism EPL is they had EPL 2019-20, I think it was, EPL Prism that released earlier, or I should say later in 2019, and then they did a Prism update in Chronicles for the Premier League. So that's why you see some of those Prism. But the interesting thing with soccer is, so we talk about a lot, like with the NBA playoffs and the NBA championships coming up. when say LeBron or Giannis wins the championship, they're going to see their card prices go up.
If
And
that's even possible.
if it is, yeah, if it's possible. In soccer, though, winning your domestic league is not as big of a deal as it is here when they win the NBA championship. In soccer, what they really strive for is what they call the Champions League. And what that is they take all of basically the top 2 to 4 teams from all the different countries, domestic league, top league, and they play essentially a round robin to a knockout tournament every year. And,
So, not to interrupt, but kind of in a simplicity form of maybe in a football or basketball format, what college does. Or
yes.
like for basketball, where you have, the Big Ten, Big 12, Big East, all the different college conferences, and then they all get pulled into the tournament, and then you have an overall champion.
Yeah, it's a little bit similar to that. So they basically break it out. I think it's eight pools of 4 teams. They play a group round where you play, each team twice, one at away, one at home, and then from there, the top 2 teams from each group advance to the knockout stage. And then there's in most years, non-COVID situation, they play what's called a home and away, and it's not about wins or loss. I mean, it is about winning and losing, but they actually look at it as, I'm trying to figure out, aggregate goals is what they call it. And this is where it gets a little tricky. So let's say you have Liverpool and Manchester United playing in the Champions League. Liverpool plays at home against Man U, and they win 2-1. Liverpool does. Then they have the reverse fixture where Liverpool goes to Man U and plays, and then Man U would say win 1-0. They would be tied 2-2. They both scored 2 goals apiece in the 2 games, but Manchester United will actually move on because they scored an away goal when they were playing at Liverpool. So it's a little bit confusing that way. But
Is that because sometimes they have ties?
Yeah.
Okay.
So because it can end in 0-0, so that's why they do it that way. But the Champions League is really the top pinnacle of European soccer. So when you look at, like take a Ronaldo or a Messi, they've won their domestic leagues, countless times. I mean, more than Brady's won the Super Bowl, more than Jordan's won a championship. They've won their domestic league championship probably more. Ronaldo, between all the leagues he's played in, probably more than 10 times. But they look at how many Champions Leagues did they win versus how many domestic championships did they win.
So it's kind of in like a similar, if you were to mash college football or even basketball and say, Michigan or Michigan State or Ohio State, how they have so many Big Ten championships. Mm-hmm. That would be taking Ronaldo for his interleague championships, right? Like, say he played for Ohio State. But then when he got to the tournament, that's where it mattered. Similar situation as college where, okay, fine, you get bragging rights because you won, your conference, but it doesn't really matter till you get to the big stage and you're playing, the better teams or whatever. Connor had a question. I'll put it up here. I don't know if here we go. This right here. How does the MLS compare to the Premier League?
In terms of talent and prestige, and I'm not trying to say that the MLS is a bad league, but the MLS probably doesn't even compare to the Premier League. So how I was saying earlier, where they have like 4 tiers in England, I would say the MLS is probably more comparable to the Championship League, which is the level below the Premier League. MLS is definitely getting better every year, but I think that there's some problems within the structure, and that's my own opinion on what MLS could do to make it better. And I think having promotion and relegation would help. I know it would be very difficult to do, but I think it would improve the competitiveness of the league overall. But I wouldn't say they would compete with probably any of the top 4 or 5 professional leagues in Europe.
Okay, now I have a question from the card perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a lot of the guys' names. Obviously, I went through showing you cards, asking you from the pulls who's good, who is a keeper or a possible yay or nay. Because outside of looking at values, I really couldn't tell you much about them. I knew the Mason Greenwood name. I knew the Neymar because I think you submitted one or somebody submitted one in the big group submission. Obviously, I've heard of Pele, Ronaldo, Christian Pulisic. There's names that people know. Yeah. But as someone who doesn't understand the sport, now I'm going to tell you the only interaction I have had with soccer, because I'm not one that runs. That sport gets to me. My son, before he got diagnosed with diabetes, the only sport that he was interested in, and I'm talking at like 4 or 5 years old, he wanted to play soccer. I don't know why. So anyway, I let him play until he got diagnosed with his diabetes, and then he was scared to play sports. But I didn't understand anything from it because at that age they weren't really teaching them rules or organization of the sport or any of that sort of thing. So I was never introduced to it. When you can get a baseball rookie and go and look at his average or how many home runs they've hit or that sort of thing. Have they won a Gold Glove or made the All-Star team, whatever, or basketball, what's the same thing, what's their points per game or rebounds, whatever. As you mentioned, some games in soccer end 0-0. Mm-hmm. What do you look at to determine, okay, this guy's a star? Is it basically championships? Does game statistics have any play into card value, or is it just popularity in the world, really, and notability of winning the championships?
I would say goals. Goals is probably the only thing that is going to drive a player's price up with championships. There's very few defenders that have much of a market. There's, Virgil van Dijk is one of them that is, I think he came in 3rd last year for the Ballon d'Or, which I can get into. What that is, that's basically like the MVP of European soccer. But very few defenders have much of a market. Goalkeepers don't really have much of a market unless there's a certain player or team that you follow.
So what you're telling me kind of right now is I could actually learn soccer if I knew names or if I dug into statistics by learning the leagues and looking at the players. Because essentially what you're telling me right now, and it's, they have something in common with each other, is you put an item into a net. But hockey, you want the guys that are scoring goals. Example, this year I've talked about the 2019-20 Upper Deck hockey, but your two and their Rookie of the Year is called the Calder Trophy, so it's a similar situation. They don't even call it Rookie of the Year or anything like that, or MVP or whatever. I think that's the Hart Trophy. I don't know all the names.
Yeah.
But it's a similar situation. As you mentioned, defenders don't really hold value. A tricky situation with hockey this year is the two top front runners for rookies are both defensemen. Now they have value right now, but I've heard, they don't hold it. So that sounds to me a similar thing, and also popularity of team. I know Man U. I've heard Liverpool, and you mentioned them. So it's basically player popularity on team, kind of like the Lakers with LeBron going there. He's always been a great player. And then you want, for statistics wise, you want to follow what they're doing on goals. That's kind of what you're saying, to try, even if you don't know the sport, that's a way to kind of prospect maybe somebody that hasn't gotten hot yet, right?
Yeah, I would definitely say if you find a young player who is scoring goals in their domestic league, they have the potential or the chance to have their card prices increase, which kind of, I guess, leads to another big thing that is key to understanding how basically or soccer, I would almost call it football, but soccer operates.
We don't need any more confusion.
Yeah.
Oh, they're talking football.
So, again, basically everywhere besides here in the United States, there is no draft. There is no free agency when it comes to soccer. So just about every professional team has a youth academy where they are recruiting kids probably as young as 6 or 7 years old to play in their academy, and they'll go to school within the academy, and they'll play within the club, and they'll get professional training from professional coaches. And as they develop, they work their way up through the ranks and through the different. Yeah.
Did we lose Scott?
And oh, I'm still here.
All right, you're back. You froze up for a minute. We could hear you, but we couldn't see you.
Yeah, we got storms in the area, so that might be part of the problem. But as kids develop and they grow, for example, Mason Greenwood, he came from the Manchester United Academy. So he's been in that organization probably since he was 10, 11 years old. And they have a lot of the big clubs have, they get kids at a young age and develop them. And then as far as the contracts go, I kind of was trying to figure out how to describe it, but they have a transfer market. So when a young player at a smaller team has potential, the bigger clubs will come in and purchase that player, essentially.
Like the situation with what was possibly going to happen with Sancho.
Yep. Yeah. So that's been going on. I mean, there's been rumors that he's going to go to Man U since last summer. So they have contracts, and occasionally, usually towards the later part of their career, their contract may run out, and then they can sign for whatever team they want. But usually, it's most of the time is one team's coming in and offering, whatever the price may be, $100 million to buy a player, to get them to their team, and then also still pay them, $10, $20 million a year salary. So there really isn't trades or free agency or anything like that. So if you find a player who's young, on a smaller club, but he's producing results, there's a good chance that he could get picked up by a bigger club, and then you might see his card prices increase.
Sean had a question for you, Scott.
Yeah.
It said, will stickers be accepted into the hobby for soccer as equal to cards?
So I don't know. I know stickers is a big part of the soccer market in other parts of the country. I don't know a lot about the sticker market. It's never been an interest that I've ever had. But I do know that in Europe and in South America, a lot of the other countries, that stickers were probably more prominent than cards were for a long time. So I don't know. I think it will be hard for stickers to in the market here in the States. I don't know if they'll be accepted. I know I have no interest. That's just my opinion. But it's an interesting thing to see where stickers have a place. I mean, if you look at eBay, there are quite a few stickers that sell for over $1,000. So somebody's buying them up, whether it be here.
I think the attraction to stickers, I know it goes back, years and years, but I think one big attraction with stickers is the fact they're not easily graded. They could get damaged easier than a card.
Yeah.
And I think that, shows with like the Jordan rookie sticker. But in today's world we're in with this hobby, a card doesn't see air for very long. It's sealed inside of a foil package. It's opened for a brief second and then goes into a penny sleeve and top loader before it hits a sealed slab.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, that I've questioned that too. I know people were desperate to open anything, so they were buying the sticker packs for basketball and all that. But I don't know if they have as much of a future from like today on versus, like Step Back was sharing some Pele stickers from, I don't even remember what year it was. I think it was the 60s or something like that. To find a 1960 something sticker that is in good shape and wasn't peeled up or discolored or bent or whatever, it's almost like collecting stamps in a way. You have an old antique stamp from God knows when that's never been licked and slapped on an envelope. But in today, with people just automatically just sending everything to be graded, it's a very good question. Do they have a forward potential, or is it something that's only older related? Maybe pre 90s, mid 90s, somewhere in that form. So yeah, I can get your point on that with not being interested in them, and it could be the next thing. Cards are hard to find now. Maybe the companies start making stickers, and that's what people go to. Who knows? But yeah, definitely see your point there on that.
Well, and I think it'll be interesting too is if the card market continues to increase and we start seeing more soccer releases coming out, I think that might drive the stickers down, at least for modern players. I think the reason stickers were so popular is that for your Ronaldos, your Messis, or even going back to the 70s, 80s with Pele, Maradona, they didn't really have a card market, right? So the stickers were the only thing you could get. But I think now with cards becoming more popular, I just don't think there will even be demand for newer players in stickers. So I think it might just be the older players that where the sticker market would have value. But I did see a question pop up about the national team, and that's a whole other part of the soccer market that we didn't talk about. Is you also have the World Cup. So similar to the Champions League, the World Cup is another thing that's going to drive card prices up. Any of the top players or young players that perform well at a World Cup or win a World Cup, for example, Mbappe, when he won the last World Cup in 2018, that is where that was his coming out party. I mean, he was a big player before that. He was a young player and had made that move to Paris Saint-Germain in France. But him winning the World Cup really, I think, is where his card prices started to shoot up because he played really well, and with France winning the World Cup. So I think, prices could increase when younger players get called up to their national team, but I think it's really about how they perform in the big tournament. So the World Cup, you have the European Championships, which is every 4 years, opposite of the World Cup. So, there's the 2 years in between. It was supposed to be this summer for the European Championships, but it got moved to next year, obviously, because of COVID.
All right, a question that I have that I think could interest a lot of people, and I'm going to throw hockey out there again.
Mm-hmm.
It's obvious soccer is a worldwide sport, and most likely, if I had to guess, it shows more interest in the foreign countries. How well, if you're getting into the market and you're trying to move cards, if you, and the reason I ask this is with eBay and the way things are going, the postal service taking forever on things, the risk of a package taking months to get to somebody, and then they file in a claim. Do they have enough market in the States if you want to restrict and not deal with those overseas sales that you can still move the cards for decent prices? Or is it something that in order to get full value and full marketability on them without just sitting on them, you have to open up to being, shipping to Europe or Spain, whatever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that so I opened 4 boxes of Chronicles, and I sold quite a few of those cards already. I kept the ones that I wanted. There was a few that I sent in for grading in our last submission. But I would say out of all the cards I sold, 90% of them were overseas. So I think there is a market here in the States, but I think in order to sell and maximize your profit, you're going to have to be willing to ship international. Because for example, the Asian market is huge. I mean, any of the rookies in Chronicles, any Asian players playing in some of the top leagues they're going to sell for $10, $15 for just the base card. I flipped probably 20 cards in the first day that Chronicles came out, and it was all to the Asian market. Now there are a lot of people that purchase cards from overseas that have, I think it's like Ship My Cards is the company I've seen, where it's
I just packaged one for them tonight.
Yeah,
some of the Asian buyers, I think they have found it cheaper for them. I know a lot of them have a location in like Oregon. You ship it there. Once it's showed delivered there, you're good on your end. And then I guess they just bulk up mass amounts and ship them from Oregon over to, China, Japan, wherever, and get them that way, which sometimes you see some big cards and you go to buy it and it's like location China and you're like, how in the hell are they getting these? They got their own products. Leave ours alone, So I can see that, and I think it would be smart. eBay has this global shipping program, and I've used it to open up to ship to Canada because obviously hockey's huge in Canada, and I haven't had any issues yet. But I will say it takes sometimes 6 to 8 weeks. We're sitting over here in the States grading cards and talking about it's taking forever, and they're buying cards and waiting forever, and they pay up front on them. They could buy a card, it could take 6 to 8 weeks to get, and the guy could blow his knee out or something and be worthless when they get it. So that's the scary side for me. If eBay protected you with the global shipping where they did something similar, if once they received it and it was in their hands and then from there it's on them, I would be way more open to ship anywhere. I'll send it, Antarctica if somebody wants it, or Santa wants some in the North Pole. But so be it. I just hate the risk, and especially looking at the scammer site, on Facebook and seeing the horror stories day after day after day. I restrict it because I don't want to be responsible if I do my part and get it out timely. From once it's out of my hands, I can't do anything about it. And there's a lot of people getting screwed over. So if they can fix that, I think sports cards in general could prosper even more, because there is such a demand, like you said, in the Asian market or the European market. I mean, not everybody will sell worldwide. So I was just curious on that, to see if you needed to open up, or if the states had a good market. So I guess the next question, because the only product I really know is Chronicles. I did see Impeccable came out, but that's a high-end product. Give us some products and some players to look for.
So I think the product, well, to start with, is the World Cup Prism is probably the hottest product that you're going to look for. 2014 had the Ronaldo, Messi, and while they're not the rookie card, they're the first Prism to come out. So I think what we've seen with other sports where, the first Prism card of a player tends to be fairly hot. So when you look on eBay, you're going to see a lot of the Prism World Cup 2014. 2018 World Cup Prism is incredible.
I lost out on that product.
Right, yeah, I think I just looked, a case went for $35,000 on eBay.
I've spoken on it before.
So, but that is what they consider to be Mbappe's rookie card.
I had those Cello boxes, the 2018 World Cup Prisms, on my watch list from a company, eBay seller Wowza. They had like over 100 boxes. They were $79.99 a box, I believe. And I just sat there and noticed every day they were going up by $100. Like once soccer took off, and I was like, I cannot believe I didn't buy any. But I didn't know nothing about the product. I didn't know if it was the proper one for Mbappe. I didn't know if there was anything even in it. I was like, $79 for a box of Prism doesn't sound very good. Boy, was I wrong. So.
Yeah, I would say after after Prism, another hot product is 1819 Donruss. They came out with a line which was the first year they had the rated rookies for soccer. So you have Jadon Sancho's rated rookie is in that product. You have Kai Havertz is in that product. There's a couple other rated rookies that are huge. One that I'm collecting, or I guess investing in, if you want to use that word, is his name's Justin Cloyvert. Plays for Roma in Italy right now. He's from the Netherlands. And I probably spent about $40-50 and got about 30-40 of his cards between the base Donruss, the Optic, Palo, Silvers. But hoping, he's been rumored to move to the Premier League as well, so hopefully to see that increase. But also, Topps has a couple of products. So you have Topps UEFA Champions League Chrome. You also have Topps Bundesliga, which is really big.
Did we lose you?
Oh, I'm back, looks like.
Yeah, all right, you're back. Maybe not. Sorry, guys. Bear with us. He's having a little bit of storm and technical
I'm
difficulties.
Here now. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Gotta love it. I just last month to the top level and still have streaming issues. So
All right, looks like you're good now.
cool. See, where was I? So Tops has some of the big names that you're looking for. Obviously, Greenwood is the latest that people are chasing. Before that, there was Erling Haaland, who plays in the Bundesliga. Is scoring tons of goals in Germany. Has been rumored to move to a bigger club as well. Obviously, Mbappe, huge name. Jadon Sancho with his move. So there's so many young players right now that have the potential to move to a bigger club, and the problem is it's just potential. So they haven't really shown a whole lot that they can do for multiple years.
So it's every sport in every product in it for every card right now, because that just seems like
Yeah.
I I came up with a little quote that I think describes this hobby market that we are currently in. People are buying potential and popularity and not rarity or proven results. We seem to always look for that next superstar before he hits. And it might work out, it might not. It's risk versus reward, I guess. Did we lose you again, Scott?
Yeah, it for some reason it cuts out and you're talking in slow motion, so I hear like half of what you're saying, and then the rest I'm just trying to guess. So far, I've been able to do pretty good though.
That's all right, man. I appreciate you coming on here this evening. So, before we completely lose you, basically, what you're saying is soccer takes a lot of research, a lot of following, but we definitely see the results and that it is a huge increasing market, right? There he is.
Yeah.
Did you hear anything I said?
I heard before we completely lose you.
Okay. So, in synopsis, and I'll go ahead and start closing this out. You gave us a lot of information. Basically, soccer takes a lot of research, and if you want to be ahead of the market, because that's what I like to do. I like to buy the guy before he blows up. I don't want to be on the train after it's pulling out the station, because there's not, that's not the way to get the best value and all that. But in order to stay ahead, there's a lot of research you have to do for soccer. It's not sitting and watching a guy each night, during a 48-minute game and seeing how many points he put up. You have to see what league he's in, if his team potentially is going to win the championship, how many goals he's scoring, is he in a lower level, is he 6 years old, getting ready to go to academy, and supposed to be the next, next Pele, do they make the 6-year-old cards? I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and also it seems to be one of the only sports that has manufacturer licensing. It may be in different leagues, like you're saying, there's multiple leagues, but Panini and Topps both have product, as you mentioned. So, it seems like it's a lot more in depth. But I think if you can learn the game, as you said, you have a lot of knowledge on it. Just knowing the game, I think, helps.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the leagues and all that, the teams and all that stuff. But I think if you can learn it, there is a lot of potential for it. Some of the prices I've seen, as you mentioned, the Prism, it's on par with basketball Prism. I know Gary Vee was, he talks players up or talks about who he's invested in, but I think it was a while ago that he was talking about Mbappe. And people, bash him or whatever, say, blame him for players spiking in price. But that Prism was still cheap after he talked about Mbappe. And I think that boiled back to just like myself, I didn't know if that was the right product. I was sitting here trying to figure out what pack is Mbappe in. And I didn't know if it was the right product, and I never bought it. So, basically you're telling us to do our homework, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard because, I mean, every young player, like there's Ansu Fati is another big young player at Barcelona, 17 years old. They're talking about he's going to replace Messi when Messi retires. But everybody's already on him. I mean, his prices are like Greenwood. So, it's hard to know what young players are going to be the next big thing. So you kind of just, there's what I do is every day I go on ESPN and I look at, they have what's called the transfer news. And that's where it's all rumors, who's going where, who's going to move where in the transfer market when the windows are open. And I'll just look for young players that are rumored to go to a big club. That's what I did with Cloyvert, and I started buying up his cards and hoping he moves to a big club. And, if he doesn't, then I'll 30, 40, 50 bucks. But if he does, well, then I might see a good return there. So you'll be seeing more of his cards coming in the next group submission, hopefully.
I know there's like some English channels that you can get over here in the States. Do they talk soccer on there to where we could get a little bit of inside news like the English people are?
I haven't stumbled upon any. I mean, NBC Sports does a really good job in covering the Premier League, but yeah, I haven't found any good English channels to follow to get any. All I've done is just go to different websites and follow the transfer news. And I'm a big Man U follower, so that's why I'm a little biased to Mason Greenwood and think he's going to be the next big thing. Technical stuff that I think makes him the next big player, but also a little bit of just bias from that being the team I follow. So,
well,
yeah, there's a lot of players, and there's a lot of young players that go to big clubs and then they see their potential. Sorry, it's probably cutting out.
Yeah, it's cutting in again, in and out. Anyway, man, I do thank you. I learned a lot because I didn't know about the whole tiered team thing and how the teams move up and around. And I had read that that Sancho was possibly going to get his contract bought by Man U, but I didn't know how all that stuff worked. And I always tell people, do your homework. Don't listen to somebody telling you who to buy. So you could have sat here and told us, names, but that doesn't really mean anything. To enjoy this hobby and to be ahead, you got to do your own homework. You got to, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to make big on soccer because I don't know the game. I don't know what to look for in a player. But I can take it, and with everything else being so crazy right now and not being able to find it, I found soccer packs. So obviously in my area it hasn't caught on yet. I haven't found many, but I'll take what I can get, right? So what the information you did give, it definitely helped me some. I just have to do my own research.
Yeah.
Hopefully it helped everybody else, because that's the whole goal for these things. And I really do appreciate it. I'm sure others do as well if they have an interest. So, thank you for sticking through, even with all the technical issues. Storms happen, man.
That.
Storms happen, man. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We got through it. You gave a lot of info, a lot of helpful info, and I definitely do appreciate it. I'll be looking forward and taking notes with what you send in. Like that Sancho acetate. I was like, wait a second, somebody sent one of those in, and so I started looking for it. But I do appreciate it, man, and I hope everybody enjoyed this, learned something. I hope you all have a good rest of your evening, night, wherever you are in the world. So let's have a good Monday tomorrow, and as always, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and until the next video, I'm out.